quick like and subscribe if you enjoy my content. My name is Adrian. I'm 35 years old, and I work as a data analyst for a healthcare company in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I spend my days identifying patterns in large data sets, spotting trends that others miss, and drawing conclusions from seemingly unrelated information. My job is to notice the small details that reveal the bigger picture. I never thought those skills would show me the truth about my marriage. But when someone stops doing something they've done every single day for 8 years, you notice. And when they replace that habit with something else entirely, you start asking why. My wife Emma stopped kissing me goodbye 3 months ago. Instead, she started checking her reflection in the hallway mirror every single time she left the house. That small change unraveled everything. I met Emma 9 years ago at a colleague's engagement party. She was working as a marketing coordinator for a nonprofit, warm and outgoing in ways I wasn't. I was quieter, more reserved, comfortable with spreadsheets and data models. She brought me out of my shell. I gave her stability. We worked. We got married a year later. Bought a house in a Longfellow neighborhood of Minneapolis, a 1920s bungalow with original woodwork and a front porch. The kind of house meant for building a life together. From the very first day we lived together, Emma had a routine. Every morning when she left for work, she'd find me wherever I was: kitchen, bedroom, home office, and kiss me goodbye. Love you. Have a good day, she'd say. Every single morning. Without fail. For 8 years. It was such a consistent part of our routine that I stopped consciously noticing it. It was just what Emma did. Like breathing. Then one morning in early February, she didn't. I was making coffee in the kitchen when I heard her coming down the stairs. She walked past the kitchen doorway, heading straight for the front door. Have a good day, I called out. You too, she said, not stopping. I heard the front door open and close. She was gone. I stood there with my coffee mug, feeling like something was off, but not quite able to identify what. Then it hit me. She hadn't kissed me goodbye. I told myself it was nothing. She was running late. She was distracted. People forget things. But the next morning, the same thing happened. She came downstairs, walked past the kitchen, and went straight out the door. No kiss. No love you. Just have a good day, called over her shoulder. And the morning after that. And the morning after that. A week went by. Then 2 weeks. Emma hadn't kissed me goodbye once. But she developed a new habit. Every morning as she was leaving, she'd stop at the hallway mirror, an antique piece we'd bought at an estate sale years ago. She'd check her reflection, adjust her hair, smooth her clothes, study herself for 30 seconds, sometimes a full minute. Then she'd leave. I started paying closer attention. Emma had always been put together, always professional for work. But this was different. This was careful, deliberate. She'd check her lipstick in the mirror, make sure her necklace was centered, turn slightly to see her profile, run her hands over her blouse to eliminate any wrinkles, like she was preparing to see someone who mattered. And it wasn't me. You look nice today, I said one morning as she was doing her mirror check. Thanks, she said, not looking away from her reflection. Big meeting? Just the usual stuff. You're spending a lot of time on your appearance lately. She finally looked at me. Is that a problem? No. Just notice you're putting in extra effort. I like to look professional. That's not new. The mirror thing is kind of new. What mirror thing? Checking yourself in the hallway mirror every morning before you leave. She shrugged. I want to make sure I look put together. Is that a crime? Of course not. Just different from your routine. Maybe I'm evolving my routine. People are allowed to do that. She grabbed her bag and left without another word. That night, I started thinking about other changes. Small things I'd noticed, but hadn't connected. Emma had bought new clothes in the past few months. More fitted, more stylish than her usual work wardrobe. She'd started wearing makeup more carefully. Different perfume, something more expensive than what she usually wore. She'd changed her hair. Got it cut shorter, more modern. Started styling it every morning instead of just pulling it back. She lost weight. Not dramatically, but noticeably. She joined a gym in January and went 3 or 4 times a week. All of these changes individually were innocuous. Women change their style. They work out. They update their appearance. Nothing suspicious about any of it. But combined with the stopped goodbye kisses and the constant mirror checking, a pattern was forming. Emma was putting significant effort into her appearance. But not for me. At home, she wore old t-shirts and leggings. No makeup, hair in a messy bun, comfortable and casual. But every morning before leaving for work, she'd transform. Careful makeup, styled hair, nice clothes, that minute-long mirror check. She was getting dressed up for work, or for someone at work. I started tracking her patterns in a spreadsheet, a habit from my job that felt intrusive but necessary. Monday through Friday, Emma left the house at 8:15 a.m. She'd check the mirror for 45 to 60 seconds, then leave. She'd return home around 6 p.m., sometimes later. On the evenings she came home late, she'd be energized, talkative. She'd have elaborate stories about her day, about coworkers, about projects. On the evenings she came home at her normal time. She'd be quieter, more subdued. She'd make dinner, watch TV, go to bed early. The pattern was clear. Something was happening on the days she stayed late. About 6 weeks into the no-goodbye kiss pattern, I decided to verify my suspicions. Emma worked for a nonprofit called Community Reach Minnesota. Their office was in downtown Minneapolis, about 20 minutes from our house. One evening when Emma said she'd be working late on a grant proposal, I left my own office early and drove downtown. I parked across the street from her building. Waited. At 5:47 p.m., employees started leaving. I watched the front entrance, looking for Emma's car in the parking structure. At 6:15 p.m., Emma walked out. She wasn't alone. A man walked beside her. Tall, probably late 30s, wearing business casual attire. They were talking, laughing. He said something that made Emma throw her head back in laughter, the kind of genuine laugh I hadn't heard from her in months. They walked to the parking structure together. I couldn't see what happened inside, but they were in there for almost 15 minutes before Emma's car emerged and drove away. The man's car came out 3 minutes later. Different direction. I sat in my car, processing what I'd seen. They'd left together, but taken separate vehicles. Went into the parking structure alone for 15 minutes. Then left separately, meeting in the parking structure, where no coworkers would see them together. I drove home, got there before Emma. When she arrived at 6:45, I was making dinner like nothing had happened. How was the grant proposal? I asked. Exhausting. We're still working out the budget section. We, the team, just a few of us stayed late to push through it. Who else was there? Sarah from programs. Michael from development. A couple others. Michael, I don't think you've mentioned him before. He's relatively new. Started maybe 6 months ago. Director of development. 6 months. Right around when Emma had started changing her appearance. Is he good at his job? Very. He's brought in a lot of new funding sources. Really knows how to work with donors. Sounds like a valuable addition to the team. Definitely. She went upstairs to change. I heard the shower start. She always showered when she got home from these late nights. Always. I pulled out my laptop and looked up Community Reach Minnesota's website. Found the staff directory. Scrolled to the development section. There he was. Michael Harrison, Director of Development. Professional headshot showing the same man I'd seen walking out with Emma. His bio said he'd joined the organization in August. Previously worked for a different nonprofit in Chicago. Moved to Minneapolis for this position. I sat at our kitchen table, looking at Michael Harrison's professional photo, connecting the dots. Emma had started changing her appearance in the fall, around the time Michael started at her organization. She'd stopped kissing me goodbye in February. Started the mirror-checking ritual around the same time. She was getting dressed up for him, checking her reflection before going to see him. Coming home late on nights they worked together. Showering immediately after. I needed more evidence before confronting her. Accusations without proof would just make me look paranoid. The next morning, I suggested something we used to do regularly, but hadn't done in months. Want to go out for dinner Friday night? That Italian place you love. Emma hesitated. Friday? Yeah. Been a while since we had a proper date night. I might have to work late Friday. We have a big donor meeting next week, and Michael wants to prepare. Michael again. She caught the tone in my voice. What does that mean? Just seems like you mention him a lot lately. This new guy. He's my boss. Of course I mention him. I thought Janet was your boss. She is. Michael is the director of development. I report to Janet, but I work closely with Michael on donor strategy. Sounds like you work closely with him on a lot of things. Adrian, what are you implying? Nothing. Just making an observation. Well, your observation sounds like an accusation. Is there something to accuse you of? Her face flushed. I'm not doing this. I'm going to be late for work. She grabbed her bag, checked her reflection in the hallway mirror. 45 seconds of smoothing, adjusting, perfecting, and left without saying goodbye. I sat in the silence of our house and made a decision. I called in sick to work. Then I followed my wife. I stayed far enough back that she wouldn't notice me, but close enough to track her route. She drove straight to her office building downtown, parked in the structure, went inside. I parked on the street and waited. At 12:30 p.m., Emma and Michael emerged from the building together. They walked 2 blocks to a cafe, went inside, sat at a table in the back corner. I couldn't hear their conversation, but I could see their body language. They sat close. They laughed. At one point, Michael reached across the table and touched Emma's hand. She didn't pull away. They had lunch for an hour and 15 minutes, then walked back to the office together, close enough that their shoulders occasionally touched. I drove home feeling sick. That evening, Emma came home at her normal time, made dinner, acted like everything was fine. How was your day? She asked. Quiet. Didn't feel great, stayed home. Oh no. Are you getting sick? Maybe. Just fell off. Well, get some rest. I can handle dinner. She was kind, attentive, like the Emma I'd married. But she still didn't kiss me when she left for work the next morning. Still checked that mirror for a full minute before walking out the door. I decided to check our phone records. We were on a shared plan, and I had access to the account. I logged in and pulled up Emma's call and text history. There was a number she'd been texting constantly, multiple times per day, sometimes late at night. I didn't recognize it. I called the number from my office phone, blocking my caller ID. This is Michael Harrison. I hung up. Emma had been texting Michael dozens of times a day, starting at 6 a.m. some mornings, continuing past 10 p.m. some nights. I pulled the detailed records. Over 3,000 text messages in the past 2 months alone. Nobody texts their boss 3,000 times unless there's something more than work happening. I downloaded all the records, compiled them into a spreadsheet. The pattern was undeniable. That weekend, I confronted her. Emma was in the living room, scrolling through her phone and smiling at something. Probably a message from Michael. Emma, we need to talk. She looked up. About what? About why you stopped kissing me goodbye. About why you check your reflection for a full minute every morning before leaving. About Michael Harrison. Her face went pale. I saw you having lunch with him. I saw him touch your hand. I've seen the 3,000 text messages between you two in the last 2 months. I know something's going on. Adrian, don't lie to me. Please, just don't lie. She set down her phone. Tears filled her eyes. It's not what you think. What is it then? Michael and I, we're close. We become friends. That's all. Friends don't text each other 3,000 times in 2 months. Friends don't meet in parking structures after work. Friends don't make their wives stop kissing their husbands goodbye. I stopped kissing you goodbye because things have been difficult between us. Things have been difficult because you've been emotionally checked out for months. Because you put more effort into your appearance for work than you do for our marriage. Because you're having an emotional affair, even if it hasn't become physical yet. It's not an affair. What would you call it, Emma? You're texting another man constantly. You're having private lunches. You're getting dressed up to see him. You're spending more emotional energy on him than on me. If that's not an affair, what is it? She started crying harder. I didn't mean for this to happen. Is it physical? No, I swear. We haven't crossed that line. But you've thought about it. She didn't answer. The silence was confirmation enough. Do you love him? I don't know. I'm confused. He makes me feel seen, appreciated, excited. And I don't. You're stable, reliable. But there's no spark anymore, Adrian. We're just going through the motions. Maybe we're going through the motions because you've been investing all your emotional energy in someone else instead of in fixing our marriage. She wiped her eyes. Maybe. I don't know. I'm all mixed up. Do you want to stay married to me? She looked at me with red, puffy eyes. I don't know that either. That answer hurt more than anything else she could have said. Then I'll make it easy for you, I said. I'm not going to compete with Michael Harrison for my own wife's attention. Either you end whatever this is with him and commit to working on our marriage, or I'm filing for divorce. That's not fair. What's not fair is me living with someone who checks her reflection for a full minute before leaving to see another man every day while barely acknowledging my existence. I need time to think. No, you've had months to think while you were building this relationship with him. You don't get more time. You choose. Right now. Me or him. Adrian, please. Choose Emma. She looked down at her hands. At her wedding ring. I think I need to be honest with myself about what I want, she said quietly. Which is, I don't know if I'm in love with you anymore. There was the truth I'd been avoiding for 3 months. Okay, I said. Then I'm filing for divorce. Just like that. Just like that. I'm not staying in a marriage with someone who's in love with someone else. Emma moved out 2 days later. Went to stay with her sister while we figured out the logistics. I filed for divorce the following week. My attorney was a woman named Rebecca Chun, recommended by a colleague who'd been through his own divorce. Do you have evidence of the affair? Rebecca asked. Phone records showing 3,000 texts between them. Dates and times. Photos of them having lunch together. It's emotional at minimum, maybe physical by now. Minnesota is a no-fault state, so the affair won't affect the divorce itself. But it can influence property division if we can show marital funds were spent on the affair. I just want this over with. She can have whatever she wants. I just want out. Don't be too generous in your anger. This is your financial future. Let me negotiate fairly for you. The divorce took 4 months to finalize. Emma moved in with Michael a month after filing. Turned out their relationship had been physical. Just not until after I'd confronted her. The emotional affair had become real the week she moved out. They lasted 6 months before the relationship fell apart. Mutual friends told me what happened. Michael had wanted the excitement of the affair, not the reality of a relationship with someone who came with divorce baggage and guilt. He broke up with Emma in November. She was devastated. She tried to reach out to me after that. Sent a long email about how sorry she was, how she'd made a terrible mistake, how she'd ruined the best thing in her life. I read it once and deleted it. I kept the house in the divorce settlement. Emma took her personal belongings and we split savings 50-50. I stayed in Minneapolis, threw myself into work for a while, then slowly started rebuilding my social life. About a year after the divorce finalized, I met someone new. Her name was Grace. She was a teacher, grounded and honest. On our 3rd date, I told her about Emma. She stopped kissing you goodbye. After 8 years of doing it every single morning. Just stopped. Started checking her reflection in the mirror instead. That's when you knew something was wrong. That's when I started paying attention. The small changes revealed the bigger pattern. Grace nodded slowly. What did you learn from it? That the small rituals matter. The daily habits that show you care. When those disappear, something's missing. And when they're replaced with something else, like checking your reflection before seeing someone who isn't your spouse, that tells you where the person's focus has shifted. Do you kiss your partners goodbye now? Or is that too painful? I do, because I understand now that it's not just a gesture. It's a moment of connection, a daily choice to acknowledge the person you're with. Grace smiled. Then I should tell you, I always kiss my partners goodbye. Every single time. It matters to me. Good. It matters to me too now. We've been together for over a year. Grace kisses me goodbye every morning. I kiss her goodbye too. And neither of us checks our reflection in the mirror before leaving unless we're actually just checking our reflection. Because we're not getting dressed up for someone else. We're not preparing to see someone who isn't our partner. We're just two people who show up for each other. Every single day. With a kiss goodbye. I think about those mornings sometimes. When Emma would walk past me without a word, heading straight to that hallway mirror to perfect her appearance before seeing Michael. She thought she was being subtle, that I wouldn't notice. But when someone stops doing something they've done every day for 8 years, you notice. And when they replace that intimate gesture with something that excludes you entirely, you know exactly what it means. My wife stopped kissing me goodbye, started checking her reflection every time she left. And that small change told me everything I needed to know about where her heart had gone. She wasn't getting ready to start her day. She was getting ready to see him. And once I saw that pattern, I couldn't unsee it. The small details matter. They always do.